Okay, good evening. Today we are going to start our psychology class. Psychology we are studying here for which purpose? Psychology we are studying for our UPSC examination. 1. Some of you have told me that you have a plan to appear in UGC NET examination with psychology. For them also, I have seen that there is quite an overlap between UPSC syllabus and UGC NET. So many of the topics which are appearing in UGC NET and UPSC as well, these two will also be dealt in detail. First thing. Second thing, what will be our approach? What will be the strategy? As you know, through our interaction at various platforms, some of you know me from other platforms as well. I believe in giving you precise material, precise matter, which will help you in scoring well. And when I say scoring well, this is 300 plus, which I am aiming for, and you should also aim for. How it will happen? Through precise material on which we will have absolute command, and we will not only achieve it through our techniques, strategy, but conceptual clarity. And when we approach the whole matter of UPSC, we will be dividing the matter in these parts: concept, application, merit and demerit of each and every topic. You should also organize your material as far as UPSC examination is concerned, especially UPSC, in these parts. Rather than going through voluminous books, booklets, notes provided in the market, and there is a problem in the market is that there is a monopoly as far as psychology is concerned. There is almost a monopoly of one material which is being studied by most of the students, which has resulted into one big blunder, big issue with students. They are not able to understand because the conceptual clarity is missing. In place of conceptual clarity, although claiming that there is lots of depth in the matter, but the reality is that conceptual clarity is missing. Material is not precise. Because of that, it becomes very difficult to revise and to produce it in the examination. Many people have told me that they are leaving the optional because they are not having any interest in the optional because of this approach of so-called depth. I call it so-called depth because depth does not mean that you are reading 10 books, you are reading 10 voluminous notebooks. Depth means, especially in the context of UPSC, that you have understood the matter, you have understood the concept, and then you can apply it in whatever way it is asked. I will give you an example because we will start our smart study. So, examples will give us the right way forward. What is the right way forward? Through an example. Here comes. You have seen in the question paper of 2023, what did they ask? Chemotherapy. And its adverse effect on a person. How can it be undone? What is the way out? How can we use the learning theories? They have asked learning theories specifically. How can we apply learning theories? We can apply learning theories only if we have understood how the concepts of learning theories can be applied in any situation. We have understood the threads of learning theories, various perspectives, as I have given uploaded my solution for UPSC 2023 paper 1 section A. Various perspectives, you are aware, many of you are aware in fact, behaviorist, cognitivist, social learning theory. From my side, I added one more perspective, constructivist, which is not taught. This much if you know, if you have command over these concepts, you can definitely apply, exemplify. So our approach will be to understand the concept in detail. As far as understanding the concept is concerned, it will be done in detail. One thing. Secondly, we'll use a simple language. Simple language means that the language which you are able to understand, and when you reproduce in the examination, the examiner who is evaluating your answer sheet is also able to reciprocate with it, comprehend it, and give you marks. Just citing you an example, everybody reading a same material says that, for the example of superstition example they gave, breaking coconut, in front of BMW. Now this is the example given by each and every one. Should you not generate your own examples? Yes. And how will you be able to generate your examples? When the matter will be precise and your understanding will be in depth. Precise matter, your understanding will be in depth, you will be able to create your own example. Creativity cannot come from plethora of material. Creativity will be there if you are given precise material and given a space and time to think over it. That is not being given. That is a deliberate design, because we understand the business, how it works. That's a deliberate design to confuse people. If you cannot convince somebody, you will confuse them. Our idea from our platform, especially under my guidance, no, don't confuse anybody. Take full responsibility of the success and failure of the students. Psychology has suffered more because of the approach held by the teachers. Then you see the topics mentioned, each and every subtopic, each and every subtopic should be dealt in the class itself. Precise material for each and every subtopic, 4-5 pointers at least for the current examination point of view, 4-5 pointers, so that they can write a 10 marker, a 15 marker and a 20 marker on each and every topic. What happened in this examination? Recent trends neglected, not taught in the class at all. Recent trends in decision making came. Psycho-cybernetics not dealt separately, apart from the fact that my tests and discussions were having these topics. I am just showing you, exposing you to the reality because of which the students are suffering, and they think, students being in a miserable condition, think that the fault lies in our approach, the fault lies in us, the fault lies in the way psychology is being dealt in the market. So we will change this approach. We will understand the matter we won't use on our platform the same matter which is distributed in the market, but a better matter where in your 250 300 pages at most the whole psychology will be completed. At most, I'm saying. We don't need to have 8 volumes of 500 pages each. That is not the mastery. Genius lies in making things simple. And as you are preparing for UPSC, you must know, if you have to get a top rank, realize one thing, that there are so many people who are working hard. There are so many people who are devoting a lot of their energy, but quite a few get top rank. Where does the fault lie? The strategy. The strategy, my dear friends, what is the strategy will define the way out. What should be the strategy? As I keep on telling, you're optional. Focus on the optional. Focus on essay. Focus on ethics paper. Fortunately, you have chosen psychology optional, which has an overlap with ethics. Quite an overlap. An overlap with essay also. As this year also, 2 topics on decision making and creativity in section A itself. Is it going to help you or not? And when you are writing the psychology test, you know that your vocabulary required in psychology prepares you for essay as well. And if you get the right direction, as some of you have joined the psychology plus essay plus ethics, all the combined course, you will see that the strategy of essay, if defined in the right manner as we do on our platform, you will be able to score 160 around here in essay, 140 in ethics. This is possible, very much possible, with smart effort. And in your optional, if you do really well, 300. So you are scoring 600 marks here itself. Out of the 3 other papers of 250 marks each, GS 1, 2 and 3, GS 1, 2 and 3, out of these 750 marks, even if you are able to score 300, your scoring total mains marks is 900. Total mains marks is 900 with this smart strategy, much above your cutoff in the written. So you are already in the top league. Even in the interview, apart from the fact that you don't abuse the interview board, that is the only reason people get less marks. Otherwise, let me tell you clearly that it is quite possible to score 80% marks there. Out of 275, it is quite possible to score how much? 80%? 160 and 60, that is 220. If you are not faking, don't fake it. Whatever it is, just be honest. Integrity is the most important aspect which is seen in the interview, and that converges with your ethics. So in your ethics paper, if you are doing well, see how much convergence is there. Optional, essay, ethics, done really well. You are aware about the current affairs and maintain your calm and composure in interview. Even in interview you can excel. So this strategy needs to be told, needs to be understood by each and every aspirant who wants to get a top rank. This is how it works. Now, with these words, we will start our work, psychology. How we will approach? We first of all will set the tone. How we will set the tone? First of all, it is important aspect is that you have an interest in your optional. Interest in optional, and our optional is psychology here. Your optional here, psychology, is like your girlfriend or boyfriend. If you have a deep interest in the girlfriend or boyfriend, he or she is going to become your future partner. In our case, he or she, that is your optional, is going to become a fruitful partner who will provide you good marks in UPSC and you end up getting top 10 rank. To ensure that, we will have to generate interest. And how to generate interest? Which optional can be better than psychology to generate interest? We will see how psychology is interesting. First, we will generate interest. Then once we have set the tone and generated the interest, apart from the fact that we are covering the syllabus, we will cover each topic and subtopic, precise material given, and divide the whole gamut of psychology in these parts. Complete work done. Let's start now. We have set the tone. Let's start. So, what happens when you tell a crowd or in a social gathering, or suppose I am a teacher of psychology. I have taught in coachings. Now it's our own platform, taught in few big brand platforms, so called. Some universities also guest lecture, few of them at abroad as well. What is the first impression when somebody knows that you are a person who knows psychology? Apart from the fact that you may or may not be a psychologist. Psychologist is one who does the counseling. What is the first impression? And as you know, psychiatrist. Who is a psychiatrist? One who will prescribe medicines. And these things also you must know, because nowadays, as UPSC asked this year, recent trend, the current trend in psychology discipline, mental health. Mental health as the current trend in psychology. So they are looking for the people who have a background in psychology. They also respect that. If you are able to show the background by having an interest and in-depth understanding, and by depth I don't mean that you have 8 volumes. By depth I mean that you have conceptual understanding which you can apply in various arenas. So mental health, they asked, the psychology's prime concern nowadays in recent years has been mental health. How and why? This you can answer if you have an interest. You know what is happening in the recent developments of psychology. So, as we were discussing here, if somebody knows you are a psychology expert, what is their impression? Psychology as a discipline, goes long back. Psychology as a discipline was first introduced in 1875 by William James, and it got huge applaud when in 1879 Wilhelm Wundt established a laboratory in Leipzig. Laboratory. If you establish a laboratory for a discipline, what does it mean? That you are going to study something in a scientific manner. And that was the era where only natural science was being considered as a scientific discipline. That is, natural science are physics, chemistry, maths, not even maths. Even maths is not considered pure science, physics, chemistry kind of. That generated a passion for and a respect for psychology. Before that, because of its parental connection to philosophy, it originated from philosophy. It was being considered as abstract science. So this is the lineage of psychology. But we'll go back to our question that if you expose yourself as a psychologist or as an expert who knows psychology, what is the reaction of people? See, psychology is seen in two manners, in two departments, in two ways. What are the ways? One set of people will say this is nothing but a folk wisdom. Intuition. Common sense. Some people think that everything is common sense. In one of the interview board, Alka Sirohi board, in UPSC interview itself, she asked an aspirant, do you think preparation of civil services requires any expertise or any expert preparation, or is it just a commonsensical examination? So in the eyes of these kind of people, everything is a common sense, folk wisdom. And we'll later on realize that folk wisdom is contradictory to each other. For example, we always say opposites attract. And then we say birds of a feather flock together. That means similar people with similar interest, people with similar background, people with similar attitude will have better gelling of each other. And on the other hand, we say opposites attract because they complement each other. So which of them is correct? None of them is correct because we have not done a scientific analysis. Folk wisdom. But most people think that psychology is just a folk wisdom based on intuition. Based on this fact only, there was a question previous year back, PYQs. As PYQs and syllabus that will form our backbone of preparation, that's called smart study. I'll be sending you PYQs which we have done earlier, but in a segregated manner, in a better manner, better segregation. It will be sent to you. Then syllabus will also be sent to you. What I advise you to do is you write the syllabus in your own handwriting on a page. Write all the topics. Take this sheet, in one page it should be there, and brainstorm about each and every topic. Brainstorm, write things, just jot down things. You may not be able to understand what is grounded theory approach right now, but just jot it down. Cauchy experimental approach, just jot it down, whatever comes to your mind. This exploration, if you have done in the initial stage, will set a tone for you to generate interest, and later on when you understand the nuances of these topics, it will be consumed by you. It will go into your long term memory much more easily, LTM, because you have set the tone primarily. This will be done as we were discussing this intuition, common sense. This question came that why psychology is not common sense and how psychology is away from the common sense. Question is clear. They are asking nothing. Whether psychology is a science or not, they are asking. But one of the debates of psychology is it a science or just a common sense? And this debate germinates from the fact that how psychology is seen. So first set of people seeing psychology as intuition, common sense. Why it happens? Because they see programs like India Has Got Talent. There they see a magician who is doing what? Creating pigeons, doing magics. What is this? From psychological point of view, these things which are being done are or telepathy, talking to somebody who is not here. Psychokinesis, moving objects without touching them. These things are being displayed on these programs. They think that this is psychology. Folk wisdom. It does not have any scientific background. This is magic, jadoo. Because they don't know the scientific principles. So they will always think psychology is nothing but folk wisdom. Something like magic. Or you take any decision. For example, just for example, I am telling you. You read voluminous material of psychology. Then later on you encounter that there is a precise material available in the market. Now how to justify this? How will you justify? You will say, because I have read things in depth, I have been able to understand this precise material. What is this called? Hindsight. Bias. You thought that it was supposed to happen, and I knew it all along that it will happen. I knew it that it will happen, although you never knew. You are justifying your efforts now. This is also part of folk wisdom. This is a bias which we are carrying. You think that it would have happened, although it may or may not have happened. So this is the folk part of psychology. These people will see psychology as folk wisdom. Folk wisdom, common sense, intuition. Psychology, although, is much away from this. How? We'll see. Now there is another set of people. This was one set. Another set of people will say, no, psychology is a domain of experts. Psychology is scientific. Expert domain. A domain of experts, a scientific approach. Now here, after they have understood that this is the domain of experts, what will be their reaction? You will be seen as an expert of psychology. They will think that just having a look at them, after having a look at them, you will be able to judge their personality. So they will be very careful in front of you. I will tell you. Many of the students who came to me, one set was dealing with this anxiety, not able to cope up with the environmental stressors. देखो stressors जो है वो generally these are two types. Stressor, you understand? Stress is always there. Even now when you are sitting in your rooms and I in this classroom taking your psychology class, I am under stress, you are also under stress. But there are certain stressors which are life stressors. Life stressor. Just to maintain our lives, just to maintain my life, I am taking the class. Just to maintain your life, you are attending the class. So these are life stressors. But if in this normal situation you start feeling anxious, that is your heart rate, blood pressure is not maintained, then it is a problem of anxiety. And if it is prolonged, there are two dimensions: temporal, that is time dimension. You are showing this anxious situation at various places. Various places for a extended duration, various places with different people. Here you are anxious when you meet your friend, you are anxious when you attend your job. So with respect to person, place and time, if you are showing this anxiety, that too for the stressors which are normal for other people, life stressors, normal stressors, then you are suffering from anxiety. So these anxiety laden people came to me. Anxiety wale log, that I am having this anxiety. Definitely they were having some or the other problem. And let me tell you, these things are also very important, that the prescription which was given to them by so-called psychiatrist, what did they do? In India, you will have to understand this practice, what is happening. Firstly, there is psychiatrist, you will go to the psychiatrist, they will diagnose your problem. Diagnosis may be suffering from OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. When you are obsessed about an activity, you are washing your hands again and again to get rid of your anxiety, you are suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder. They will give you medicine and then send you to a psychologist. This psychologist will give you then counseling or therapy. Counseling is a milder form of therapy. Counseling and therapy that will be provided to you by the psychologist. What happens in India? The diagnosis is done by psychiatrist. They will send you to psychologist. Psychiatrist will give you medicine and psychologist will provide you counseling and therapy based on the diagnosis. But most of the psychiatrists, especially in developing countries like India, they focus more on the medicine. Not on the counseling. They don't believe the psychologist. They will give the medicines. So this person who came with the problem of anxiety, this person was given lots of medicines. Her problem worsened, became bad. Few techniques I suggested which resulted into her betterment. She got rid of the anxiety. One was this anxiety person. Another person was phobia. You know what is happening here? Why I am telling you all this? Phobia. Phobia from what? Dog bite. Dog bite. एक बार हुआ dog bite in Rajendra Nagar. The person got fearful of all the dogs around. Although it is a scary situation, but you are not able to overcome the stress, overcome the anxiety created by this situation, by this environmental stressor, and now you are having this phobia of all the furry animals. Generalization हुआ, we'll see in learning theories, but generalization, normal terms में बात करते हैं. Let's simplify our approach. हम बड़ी बड़ी बातें करेंगे, but simplifying our approach. So what are the people doing? These people are coming up with the problems. You will be seen as an expert who who can solve the problem. When they think that psychology is a scientific approach, Psychology can be used to solve the problems of the society. Psychology can be used for the problems of individuals, groups, and when the groups come, it means society also. So from here comes the application of psychology. There is another group. There is another group which sees psychology. Yes, it is a zone of scientific approach and experts, but they are skeptic. They are skeptic that how much scientific can they be. ये skeptic लोग हैं, हर चीज़ में क्वेश्चन करने वाले. अच्छा, साइकोलॉजी में 300 नंबर आ सकते हैं तो कैसे आएंगे? अभी तक तो आए नहीं. हमने तो वी हैव रेड दिस मटेरियल ऑफ 8 बुकलेट्स ऑफ सो एंड सो पर्सन. वी आर नॉट एबल टू गेट मार्क्स. हाउ विल यू एंश्योर? Everything questionable, negative people, skeptic people. But in psychology we respect these people. Skepticism. कैसे? Proof of the pudding lies in eating. Prove them that they are wrong. You remember, few of you can recollect, as I can see that many of you will be preferring the recording, but anyway, rather than joining it live, you have your own compulsions. अब देखो, null hypothesis की हम बात करते थे. We talked about null hypothesis HO. What was null hypothesis? If we have to prove that after coaching your marks will improve, coaching results into improvement of marks, improvement of psychology marks. ये अगर हमारा hypothesis है which we have to prove, then in the null hypothesis what will take? HO, coaching is equal to not coaching. Attending coaching and not attending coaching marks are same. This is our null hypothesis. And psychology takes an alternate approach that we have to prove this wrong. Once we have proven this wrong, then only we are correct. As courts say, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. That too, beyond doubt. Indian courts are quite liberal in this. Beyond doubt. There should not be any doubt. Till that time, you are innocent. So this is the approach. Skeptic people and those who understand that these are the experts, they can solve the problem of the society. For the skeptic people, psychology has gone through a long journey. From the roots found in philosophy, going closer and very close to natural sciences. These are your natural science. Psychology has traveled this path beautifully, fantastically, and in this only comes the recent approaches.
This is the only comment I'm
Okay, so psychology traveled this path quite handsomely, gracefully, for the people who are skeptic about us, skeptic about the approach of psychology. Okay, so these are the threads of psychology. These are the approaches through the lens through which psychology is seen. People who are seeing it as folk wisdom, people who are seeing it as experts zone, but they will solve the problem. As we say that application of psychology in solving the societal problems, that is there in our syllabus as one subtopic that came from this approach only. Then skepticism addressed through this path, the path traveled. Apart from that, the skeptic people are addressed by by recent happenings. AI, artificial intelligence, especially the NLP, regenerative AI, generative and regenerative AI. Where these things are evident? Chat GPT. A few days ago, when I asked ChatGPT, I entered this question to see what is the reaction of ChatGPT. As a psychology expert, what do I answer and what is the answer of this ChatGPT? That somebody is suffering from cancer, they are going through chemotherapy, what should be the approach? ChatGPT came out with the answer, and in the beginning of the answer, ChatGPT wrote that I am very sorry to hear that somebody is suffering from cancer and going through chemotherapy. So ChatGPT is showing what? Emotions. Is it not the advancement of psychology? Yes, it is. As there was a question on psycho-cybernetics, we'll deal with these topics later on in detail, but I am just telling you the threads of psychology so that it generates interest in you and you have a grasp of the debates, origin and different ideas of psychology, so that when there is a generic question, you are able to comprehend and write an answer, and you are able to comprehend different aspects of psychology when we proceed further and we go into the specific theories. You see, there was a question on psycho-cybernetics. Psycho-cybernetics. What does it do? What does psycho-cybernetics mean? Psycho-cybernetics, as discussed earlier in the solution of the paper also, is like computer works. Your mind, this is your mind, works on the basis of feedback. Feedback is given in two forms. One is the environmental feedback, another one is your own feedback. Feedback given by the organism, that is us. And how do we give feedback to ourselves? Auto suggestions. We suggest our subconscious mind, and if these suggestions are positive, that is, we are self-confident, positive, growing, then we are aligned to achieve our goals successfully. Then success is achieved. And if we give ourselves negative suggestion, then we are, because of the fear, guilt and other negative suggestions, our self-esteem goes down. And we are away from achieving our goals. It is working like a computer or not? The command which we are giving is helping us to grow. This is psycho-cybernetics. Because of these trends, advancement in AI, psycho-cybernetics, other techniques like using EEG, electric encephalogram, to understand the brain waves which help us in detecting our sleep pattern, which helps us in understanding whether yoga and meditation works for us or not, because of understanding of these brain waves. once we see that the brain waves quite similar to deep sleep is being there in during our meditation and yoga, we understand that yoga and meditation can be as effective as replenishing activity of sleep is. So because of these advancements, we have been able to address the skepticism shown by some propounders, some people who have accepted this. It is a zone of experts, but still we are a skeptic. Their skepticism has also been addressed. So now, because of this, we have been able to reach to a conclusion that which defines psychology. Which defines psychology. How psychology is being defined? We have a common definition now because of these approaches. What is the definition of psychology now? Psychology is the scientific study of what? Two things: behavior mental processes or cognitive processes. Now how these are different? We are keeping things simple, simplifying it, because in the examination you will be able to reproduce it, you will be having a better grasp, better conceptual understanding and better applicability, not making things complex. Making things complex is the duty of a joker. The genius will always make things simple. So behavior, when we talk about behavior, what do you understand out of it? When we say behavior, it means something observable and measurable. If we can observe something and measure something, then it is behavior. That is overt behavior. When we are talking about behavior, we are saying overt behavior. Does it include covert processes also? Yes or no? Yes, it includes covert processes. Apart from the mental process, in the behavior itself, there are overt process. Learning to drive. Can we see that? Did you learn to drive or not? Learning to drive a car, a behavior, overtly observable. But what is your thinking process? We have on your head, we have applied these electrodes through which your brainwave pattern is apparent. Your process is covered, the way you are thinking, which route to take, Pusa road or Shankar road. The brainwave which you encounter by taking these two routes, the way you are thinking, neural activity, that is apparent here, but that is also part of your human behavior, because we can measure it, we can see it, observe it and measure it, then it is behavior. But there are certain covert processes which are not apparent, covert processes of your thinking, the way you are solving your problem. Thinking where apart from the brainwave pattern we cannot detect anything else. That's just a covert process. Thinking is happening, we are just able to see the brainwave pattern, but what is the mechanism of thinking, the uniqueness of your thinking pattern, that is not apparent overtly. Covert process, something which is hidden, that is also part of the definition of psychology. So we have encountered three keywords, three important aspects. One is the scientific study. Psychology is the scientific study. Human behavior. And cognitive or covert or mental process. Three things: scientific study, human behavior, cognitive process. These are the three threads which define the gamut of psychology completely. I can finish off the psychology by explaining these three terms only. These three terms only. Let's see how do we proceed. First of all, scientific study. So there is a common agreement that study of psychology is a scientific study, which makes it a scientific discipline or quite closer to the natural sciences. But how do we agree that scientific study is being done as far as psychology is concerned? How psychology or any other discipline can claim that we are scientific? And what is unique and what is different in the scientific study? So as I told you, there was an era in which the only sciences, only disciplines which were considered to be scientific were natural sciences, physics, chemistry, likewise. Anything else than this, anything other than this was considered to be abstract science or abstract discipline. Why? This was an era of, my dear friends, positivism. And you must understand these things because the questions now are asking you to understand psychology threadbare, not only just having volumes of notebooks. Positivism means what? Positivism is based on one approach which is called giving respect to science, of course, something which is scientific will always, and trying to see that each and every discipline around us is scientific. That is positivism, one thing. Second thing, the approach which positivism follows is inductive. What is inductive? Positivism says you have a universal theory. Universal theory suppose, taking from the psychology itself, we take the example of mere exposure effect. What is mere exposure effect? Mere exposure effect. This is the theory. The theory says that if two people are having mutual liking for each other, and they meet in an environment which is relaxing, soothing for them, and an environment which promotes the happy feeling, then just by the fact that there was a mutual liking initially of very low level, just liking, and if they continuously meet each other on a regular basis, they will develop obsession for each other. Mere exposure effect. Mere exposure, just being exposed. These people are not even talking, just gathering there in a good environment, daily sitting in CCD, daily Starbucks, having coffee or not having coffee also. Just sitting there, mutual liking, a little bit of liking. You liking somebody's beard, other person liking somebody's specs. So it may start with that, such a shallow level, and it may result into an obsessive effect, mere exposure effect. So inductive approach says that mere exposure effect should be proven true in each and every situation. Each and every situation, for each and every group, for each and every person. That is inductive approach. Now from here only we will bring a theory, application of our understanding of psychology. There is no need to read 8 volumes and after that applying it. From here only we can apply. Now you see, the inductive approach says that it should be proven true for each and every aspect. Have you heard of this term, individual differences? Theory says that two people having mutual liking of shallow level initially can meet each other, keep on meeting each other on a regular basis, and they end up falling in love with each other. But there are individual differences. There may be people who may start liking others, keep on meeting on a regular basis in happy environment also, but finally they see that there was nothing, kuch nahi tha. The feeling which was here remained here only, even declined in a happy environment also. It did not increase to proportionate or disproportionate levels. Possible, because there are individual differences. Individual differences, and psychology studies these individual differences especially. Two people are not alike, and psychology is the discipline which primarily focuses upon these individual differences. So that inductive approach cannot prove this. Can this inductive approach prove how it happened? No. And the universality of this theory also gets challenged. But in that era of positivism, that was the only approach. And that is why the only sciences which were there were the formula like F is equal to ma, force is equal to mass into acceleration, the physics formula, which is applicable in all situations. That was true. That is true in all situations. Inductive approach, this is the universal theory, apply anywhere, this is the formula. So science was only limited to, the definition of science only limited to natural sciences. But then came another era of logical positivism. From positivism to logical positivism, that there is a theory, but the theory should be taken case by case. In one case, that mere exposure effect did work. For example, have you heard this? Intergroup contact hypothesis. This is all the application of psychology, but we can learn here only, and we'll keep on repeating so that you remember it. There will be only few threads, there will be only few concepts which will be repeated again and again, and through that only you will be able to answer all the questions. That's the beauty of teaching. Okay, intergroup contact hypothesis. This is group 1, this is group 2. Then an experiment was done called robber's cave. Two groups known as eagles and rattlers. These consisted of two groups of boys who went for summer holiday, and these two were quite hostile towards each other. बहुत ही दुश्मनी थी एक दूसरे से. They were made to form their in group. This group having feeling of we feeling in the group 1, and the same we feeling in the group 2, and enmity and hostility feeling towards the other group. So there was intergroup rivalry. What happened? Intergroup rivalry, because they were made to compete against each other. और देखो यहीं से आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि राइट्स क्यों होते हैं, यहीं से समझ में आ जाएगा कि राइट्स को कैसे डील करना है. You will be able to apply it in the first class itself, application happening. Intergroup, what happened? Intergroup rivalry was developed. See what's happening in India. The resources are limited. Economic resources, पैसा, employment, limited, jobs. If there are two groups, अब देखो एग्जाम्पल देखो आप, एग्जाम्पल ओबीसी अदर बैकवर्ड क्लासेस, ठीक है, इसमें अब दो लोग आ रहे हैं, ये दोनों को रिजर्वेशन मिलेगा. दे विल गेट 27% ऑफ रिजर्वेशन फॉर ओबीसी. दीज टू आर कॉम्पिटिंग अगेंस्ट ईच अदर. ओबीसी अभी बिल्कुल करंट टॉपिक है, ताज़ा ताज़ा करंट हैपनिंग इन द पॉलिटिकल एरेना. यूपीए एस्ट वेल यूपीए, पहले का यूपीए और अभी का एनडीए फाइटिंग ओवर दिस बिकॉज विमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल वाज ब्रॉट, एंड सिंस दे हैव नॉट गिवन एनी रिजर्वेशन फॉर ओबीसी देयर इज एन अप्रोर. और वो भी देखो जानबूझ के छोड़ा है. दे हैव लेफ्ट इट डेलिबरेटली सो दैट देयर इज एन अप्रोर एंड वी विल नॉट ब्रिंग द बिल, वी विल नॉट पास द बिल. ये सब इनके मास्टरी है, ट्रिकरी. तो ओबीसी में ये दो ग्रुप हैं, ये दोनों लड़ रहे हैं फॉर दिस 27% रिजर्वेशन. दे विल फॉर्म देयर ओन ग्रुप, एनी पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप. देयर इज नो पॉइंट नेमिंग इट. कोई पर्टिकुलर सब कास्ट के लोग, ये भी सब कास्ट, अपनी इन ग्रुप फीलिंग बना ली इन्होंने. ये हो गया इन ग्रुप इनका, ये आउट ग्रुप हो गया. दिस इज द इन ग्रुप और दिस इज द आउट ग्रुप. इनके बीच में एनमाइटी है. क्यों? रिसोर्सेज लिमिटेड है. 27% में ही सबको डिवाइड होना है. दे आर थिंकिंग 27 का 27 हमें मिल जाए, दिस पीपल आर थिंकिंग ये 27 हमको मिल जाए. देयर इज अ रियलिस्टिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. इससे ये एक थ्योरी और निकल आती है, रियलिस्टिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थ्योरी. लेकिन उस थ्योरी को बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको ये समझ में आना चाहिए देयर इज अ रियलिस्टिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ओवर लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेस. फीलिंग ऑफ इन ग्रुप, फीलिंग ऑफ आउट ग्रुप हैपेंड. अब क्या हुआ, ये एक्सपेरिमेंट में इनके बीच में कंपटीशन चल रहा था. अब ये जो एक्सपेरिमेंटर था इसने क्या किया, दे मेड अ सुपर ऑर्डिनेट गोल. सुपर ऑर्डिनेट गोल का सबसे अच्छा एग्जांपल है व्हेन वी हैव इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच, क्रिकेट मैच. सुपर ऑर्डिनेट गोल, पाकिस्तान को हराना है. वेदर यू आर ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, एनी कास्ट, एनी क्रीड, एनी रीजन, एनी रिलीजन, यू ऑल बी यूनाइटेड. तो पाकिस्तान को हराना है, क्रिकेट के मैच में से हराना है. देयर इज अ सुपर ऑर्डिनेट गोल. सो दीज टू पीपल फॉरगॉट देयर एनमाइटी फॉर ईच अदर. इन ग्रुप आउट ग्रुप की बात भूल करके दे स्टार्टेड कोऑपरेटिंग विथ ईच अदर टू अचीव दिस गोल, इंटर ग्रुप कॉन्टैक्ट हाइपोथेसिस. बिकॉज दे वर टोल्ड कि एक सुपर ऑर्डिनेट गोल है. सुपर ऑर्डिनेट मतलब कि दोनों के लिए सेम गोल है, विच इज मच मोर देन देयर ओन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. अब इस थ्योरी का क्या है, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म. पॉजिटिविज्म साइंटिफिक ठीक है, बट लॉजिकली. इस थ्योरी के कुछ कंडीशंस हैं. व्हाट इज द कंडीशन? The environment in which these two groups should be brought, that should be this environment in which these people should be brought, that environment should be non hostile. अगर इनको आप बुला रहे हो या इनके नेताओं को ही बुला रहे हो बात करने के लिए, then the environment should not breed further enmity. One thing, there should be some informal gathering over a cup of tea, over a cup of coffee, or over a plate of samosa, where the environment is full of entertainment. Then they will listen to each other at least, especially if it is informal meeting. अब देखो ये सारी चीज़ें यूज हुई, तो आप दिमाग में इसको बैठाते चलो. इट विल बी यूज लेटर ऑन व्हेन वी आर डूइंग द अप्लाइड साइकोलॉजी. सो इनफॉर्मल गैदरिंग कर लिया हमने. क्या कर लिया? इनफॉर्मल. In a happy environment, non-hostile environment, where the feelings of enmity, इनके बीच में जो feeling of enmity है, feeling of enmity should not be too deep. Under these conditions, this theory will work. Intergroup contact hypothesis will work under these conditions. When the hostility is too big, too emotional, too emotionally charged to counter, then it will be very difficult or not. Then अब ऐसी लड़ाई है हमारे बीच में जो कि कभी सुधर ही नहीं सकती. For example, a couple, that is a husband and the wife, who are seeking divorce in a court, फैमिली कोर्ट में पहुंच गए. अब इतनी डीप सीटेड एनमाइटी चल रही है कि वहां पे जज के सामने ये जूते चप्पल चल गए. कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट ऑल्सो ऑन दीज पीपल, ऑन लॉयर ऑल्सो एडमोनिश्ड लाइक एनीथिंग, उसको भी डांट पड़ गई. सो वी कैनॉट से दैट दिस थ्योरी विल वर्क एवरीवेयर, बट दिस थ्योरी इज देयर डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द सिचुएशन. अगर हमने एनवायरमेंट अच्छा रखा होता देन इट वुड हैव वर्कड. तो यहाँ पे लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म आया कि थ्योरीज विल वर्क बट इन देयर यूनिक एनवायरमेंट्स विद इन द यूनिक बाउंड्रीज. बाउंडेड, इसको हम एक और नाम देते हैं बाउंडेड रैशनैलिटी, जो कि हमारा नेचर होता है. कैन वी बी एब्सोल्युटली रैशनल एवरीवेयर एवरी टाइम? नहीं ना. हमारी रैशनैलिटी भी बाउंडेड होती है. 6 अटेम्प्ट लगा दिए हमने, एग्जाम देते जा रहे, नॉट पासिंग द एग्जाम, स्टिल मेनी पीपल डू इट. अब क्या होता है कि आप वहां पे रैशनैलिटी को डिफाइन नहीं कर सकते. यू आर टेकिंग दैट डिसीजन इन अ पर्टिकुलर कॉन्टेक्स्ट, सो योर डिसीजन इज बाउंडेड बाय सर्टेन एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स. यू कैन नॉट बी एब्सोल्युटली प्योरली रैशनल. जब ये बात आई ना, लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म केम एज ए थीम, तो फिर हमने अप्रोच अपना बदला. क्या किया? फ्रॉम इंडक्टिव वी चेंज इट टू डिडक्टिव. और यहीं पे आएगा एक और अप्रोच. देखो, और आप समझो इस बात को, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट एंड एप्लीकेशन विल बी देयर. आप एक बार कॉन्सेप्ट समझ गए ना, अपने लैंग्वेज में आप अप्लाई कर दोगे. बट इफ़ यू आर थिंकिंग कि एक पूरी बहुत ज़्यादा पूरा गठरी बना के उसके बाद में जाओगे, देखो वो तो बिल्कुल ही दैट इज़ एन अप्रोच विच इज़ playing with the life of the students unnecessarily. That is not required. Neither will you be a successful civil servant or in any profession you enter. You will be highly unsuccessful if that approach is there. Apart from being a scientist, वो अप्रोच कभी काम ही नहीं आता. ओके, तो हमने डिडक्टिव करा, नॉट इंडक्टिव. ये डिडक्टिव अप्रोच क्या है? डिडक्टिव अप्रोच है केस बाय केस, और इसका जीता जागता एग्जाम्पल इज हमने पढ़ा भी है और ये हमारे सिलेबस में भी है, बाद में इसको डिटेल में भी पढ़ेंगे, बट अभी लेके चल रहे हैं ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच। थ्योरी से डेटा नहीं, डेटा से थ्योरी। ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच। ग्लेसर एंड स्ट्रॉस, whether Glaser and Strauss gave it or not, the examiner is not interested. मैं तो अभी बताऊंगा आपको when I am doing ground theory, but I have seen the approach. देखो ये fault भी पता चलना चाहिए. If you are concerned only about the mistakes which you will commit, you will never be able to understand life. But if you know how to understand from the mistakes of others, which others are doing, सबसे बड़ी mistake तो जो मसाला है, material in the market, that itself is faulty. Glaser, Strauss, inductive approach, deductive approach, टॉप डाउन बॉटम अप किए जा रहे हैं। अरे उसको समझाओ तो सही कि मतलब क्या है। अब आप मुझे ये बताओ, यू टेल मी वन थिंग, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच और व्हेन वी से डिडक्टिव अप्रोच, वेदर इट इज बॉटम अप और टॉप डाउन, दिस इज बॉटम अप। बॉटम अप कैसे हुआ ये पता ही नहीं है लोगों को। बॉटम अप कैसे हो रहा है? फ्रॉम द डेटा। बॉटम अप इसलिए हो रहा है कि डेटा से जा रहे हैं हम थ्योरी की तरफ, दैट्स हाउ इट इज बॉटम अप। एंड दिस माय डियर फ्रेंड इज कॉल्ड लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म। ये तो साइकोलॉजी के ओरिजिन में है ना, बाद में इसको अलग से एक गठरा इसका भी बना लिया हमने, बस्ता बना लिया, एक एक बुकलेट फॉर ईच चैप्टर। तो प्रॉब्लम इज दैट पूरे ट्रक में भर के आप ले जाओगे नोट्स अपने घर को, देन व्हेन विल यू बिकम आईएएस? नेवर। दैट्स द आंसर। तो इस पे आते हैं। अभी ये अप्रोच अपने को फॉलो करें, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच। अभी जो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि आपको अपने अप्रोच को, पढ़ाई के अप्रोच को चेंज करना है। हम पॉजिटिविज्म से आए लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म में। ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच में क्या किया हमने? फ्रॉम डेटा टू थ्योरी, बॉटम अप इसी को बोलते हैं। और जो इंडक्टिव अप्रोच था, द इंडक्टिव अप्रोच वाज योर इंडक्टिव वाज टॉप डाउन। हाउ इट वाज टॉप डाउन? टॉप डाउन क्यों था? क्योंकि थ्योरी से हम निकाल रहे थे स्पेसिफिक केस या फिर स्पेसिफिक डेटा थ्योरी से, और तभी एक डिसिप्लिन को साइंस मान रहे थे। वी वर अज्यूमिंग दैट अ डिसिप्लिन इज साइंस ओनली व्हेन a universal theory was applicable to that particular situation, each and every particular situation. That is why the natural sciences were the only science. But as the disciplines developed, the experts realized that it is not the right approach. This way the only science will be physics, chemistry, etc., the natural sciences. So we have to give the crown of science to other disciplines also. कैसे करेंगे उसको? लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म, बाउंडेड रैशनैलिटी। तो बाउंडेड रैशनैलिटी और लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म ने हमें ये दे दिया, क्या दे दिया? डिडक्टिव अप्रोच, नॉट इंडक्टिव, डिडक्टिव। इंडक्टिव वाला प्योर साइंस, थ्योरी टू डेटा, थ्योरी टू केस, theory applicable to case, each and every case it is inductive. Theory not applicable, not inductive, not science. Deductive approach, bottom up, data to theory, theories for each and every particular situation. तो लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म ने हमें दिया ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच। अब देखो, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच विल बी डेल्ट सेपरेटली इन डिटेल, बट अभी भी हम देखेंगे, क्या देखेंगे? ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी का अप्रोच क्या है। थोड़ी सी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ेगी हमारी, रिपीटेशन होगा, ये चीज़ें याद भी हो जाएंगी, आपको रट्टा मरवा दूंगा बिल्कुल। तो रट्टा मरवाने का पहला तरीका क्या है? यहाँ पे होता क्या है ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी के अंदर, बहुत जरूरी है ये। ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी में जो स्टेप्स होते हैं वो देखो क्या क्या होते हैं। पहली होती है ओपन, क्या? कोडिंग। पहला स्टेप ओपन कोडिंग। दूसरा स्टेप एक्सियल कोडिंग। तीसरा स्टेप सेलेक्टिव कोडिंग। कौन कौन से हुए अपने? ओपन, एक्सियल और सेलेक्टिव। अभी देखो, पुराना अप्रोच अंडू कर दो, उसको डिलीट कर दो, बहुत सारा मटेरियल पढ़ने का। नई वोकेबुलरी, नए नोमेनक्लेचर के साथ में हम पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, सो दैट वी गेट गुड मार्क्स। एक ही चीज़ बार बार लोग लिख के आ रहे हैं, मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे, वील चेंज द अप्रोच। उन सबको अंडू करना है और ये वाला पढ़ना है। तो ओपन कोडिंग, एक्सेल कोडिंग, सेलेक्टिव कोडिंग, ये 3 स्टेप होते हैं। अब ये 3 स्टेप में होता क्या क्या है? फर्स्टली इन ओपन कोडिंग, अब ये कर क्या रहे हैं, हो क्या रहे हैं यहाँ पे, ये हम डेटा से थ्योरी की तरफ जा रहे हैं। डेटा से थ्योरी, डेटा कैसा डेटा, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डेटा वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट? अब देखो, मान लो कि जो रिसर्चर है उसके मन में आया कि डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस, एग्जाम्पल डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस, डीवी, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस हो रहा है। डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के लिए थ्योरी बताई जाए कि किस फैक्टर्स की वजह से डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस हो रहा है। बट द रिसर्चर सेज लेट्स डू इट विथ एन ओपन माइंड। ओपन माइंड के साथ करेंगे हम। ओपन माइंड मतलब हमारे कोई हाइपोथेसिस नहीं है कि पहले से कि ये फैक्टर होंगे, नहीं, हम जाएंगे, डेटा कलेक्ट करेंगे और देखेंगे क्या थ्योरी है, केस बाय केस। That is why there was a question in UPSC that grounded theory approach takes a case rather than a perspective. Takes a case rather than a perspective का क्या मतलब है? टेक्स ए केस rather than a perspective का मतलब, क्योंकि एक पर्टिकुलर केस की बात हो रही है, पर्सपेक्टिव तो थ्योराइजेशन में होगा ना, दैट विल बी इंडक्टिव अप्रोच फ्रॉम अ थ्योरी टू ground to data, theory to data, theory to case, that is your inductive. But when we are going in a deductive manner, डेटा से थ्योरी बना रहे हैं तो एक केस ले रहे हैं, पर्टिकुलर केस एट द एंड ऑफ द डे। अभी हम समझेंगे कैसे। लेट्स डू। तो ये डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के लिए पहले तो उसने क्या करा, एक तो ये भाई साहब ये क्वालिटेटिव अप्रोच है। व्हाट इज दिस? क्वालिटेटिव। और ज़्यादातर सोशल साइंस और सोसाइटी की जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, क्वालिटेटिव अप्रोच, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, क्वालिटेटिव के बाद दूसरी बात क्या है? व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ क्वालिटेटिव? बट हियर वी आर ट्राइंग टू generate a perspective, to generate a hypothesis, not looking only deep into the data. ये क्वालिटेटिव का मतलब है। जैसे डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस का है, यहाँ पे हम ये नहीं कह सकते ना कि किसी के साथ 2 गुना डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस हुआ, उसके साथ इतना हुआ, इसके साथ 2 गुना हो गया, 3 गुना हो गया। ये अप्रोच नहीं है, हमारी क्वालिटेटिव अप्रोच है। दैट इज वी हैव टू सी द फैक्टर्स बिहाइंड इट, not quantitative, not restricting ourselves to the quantity, but giving you a perspective. That's why it is qualitative. और ज़्यादातर जो सोशल साइंस के रिसर्च होते हैं ना, सोशल साइंस रिसर्च, अब देखो साइकोलॉजी के रिसर्च में कंप्यूटर का क्या एप्लीकेशन है? व्हाट इज द एप्लीकेशन ऑफ कंप्यूटर टेक्नोलॉजी इन साइकोलॉजिकल रिसर्च? दैट वाज आस्क्ड दिस ईयर. Now computer application in psychological research is not separately dealt by anybody in that गठरा you have. वो गटर में भी नहीं है वो, क्योंकि इस तरह का ये अप्रोच ही नहीं अपनाया गया ना, अनफॉर्चुनेटली। तो अभी देखो हमने क्या करा, आपको एक क्वालिटेटिव अप्रोच के बारे में बताया, यू अंडरस्टूड, इतना ही काफ़ी है। उसके बारे में 10 बातें बताने की जरूरत नहीं। अब आगे बढ़ेंगे हम। दूसरी बात, जो सोशल साइंस के रिसर्च है, स्पेशली वाई सोशल साइंस रिसर्चेज आर डन, आपने पहले भी देखा होगा और अभी फिर से बता रहा हूँ। क्या होता है कि सोशल साइंस रिसर्च किस लिए होता है? ये ना अप्लाइड रिसर्च, नॉट प्योर बट अप्लाइड, वर्सेस क्या होता है प्योर। प्योर रिसर्च क्यों होता है? आउट ऑफ फन, मजा नहीं आ रहा रिसर्च करो। प्योर रिसर्च जो होता है ना, दैट इज डन जस्ट टू प्रोपेल, टू एडवांस द डिसिप्लिन, दैट डज नॉट हैव अ पर्टिकुलर एप्लीकेबिलिटी। बट अप्लाइड रिसर्च क्या होता है? एक पर्टिकुलर कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हम अप्लाई करते हैं। प्योर रिसर्च इज डन जस्ट टू एंश्योर दैट देयर इज एन ह्यूरिस्टिक इम्पैक्ट। ह्यूरिस्टिक आपने पढ़ा होगा। ह्यूरिस्टिक क्या होता है कि इससे प्रेरणा लेकर के, heuristic impact is that ensures inspiration, that inspires people to do something else. लोग प्रेरणा से भी इंस्पायर हो सकते हैं। तो ह्यूरिस्टिक इम्पैक्ट करा हमने, एक रिसर्च किया, उससे दूसरा कोई थ्योरी बनी, नई थ्योरी, दैट इज प्योर रिसर्च, जस्ट फॉर द फन ऑफ द डिसिप्लिन, जस्ट फॉर द फन, फॉर द सेक ऑफ द फन, देयर इज नो पर्टिकुलर एप्लीकेबिलिटी। लेकिन उसका ह्यूरिस्टिक इम्पैक्ट हुआ, नए थ्योरीज आए, एंड इट मे लीड टू अप्लाइड रिसर्च। तो ये जो हमारा रिसर्च है ना सोशल साइंस का, ज़्यादातर अप्लाइड रिसर्च होता है, ज़्यादातर। अब प्योर रिसर्च कैन लीड टू अप्लाइड रिसर्च, और अप्लाइड रिसर्च कैन ऑल्सो लीड टू प्योर रिसर्च। 3-4 पॉइंट आपको प्योर और अप्लाइड रिसर्च के यहाँ पे मिल गए, एंड दैट इज माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, ऑल्दो विल डील विथ इट सेपरेटली, ये सब काफ़ी है। इफ यू रिमेंबर दीज थिंग्स, apply it in the examination, these are enough to score well। और अगर आप उस अप्रोच में जाओगे, your life will be hell, कि बहुत सारा, then it will be very difficult, because there 10 मार्कर्स, 15 मार्कर्स, 20 मार्कर्स आ रहे हैं, 60 मार्कर्स तो आते ही नहीं है। तो आप 900 वर्ड कहाँ लिखोगे, किसके लिए लिखोगे? वो तो ऐसा बोलने वाले, राइट एन एसे ऑन एटीट्यूड, आर दे गोइंग टू से राइट एन एसे ऑन इंटेलिजेंस? नो, इट्स नॉट हैपनिंग, इट्स नॉट हैपनिंग एनीवेयर इन एनी एग्जामिनेशन। तो हमारा अप्लाइड रिसर्च है क्या? ये ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच, और हमने देखा कि ये जो है क्वालिटेटिव अप्रोच है, डेटा से थ्योरी की तरफ जा रहे हैं, इसलिए ये डिडक्टिव अप्रोच है। अब डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के बारे में हम देख रहे थे, तो जो स्टेप्स है वो थोड़ा सा प्योर और अप्लाइड का बता दिया यहाँ पे, कि प्योर का क्या है मतलब, अप्लाइड का क्या है। अब रिसर्चर ने वहाँ पे 5000 लोग हैं, 5000 डिफरेंट हाउस होल्ड्स हैं, वहाँ जा कर के उन सबको क्वेश्चनिंग करी। 5000 households, they asked, researcher asked the question, lots of data was collected। अब क्या करेगा कि इन डेटा को क्या करने, कैटेगराइज कर लेंगे। कैटेगरी क्या होगा? इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर हो सकते हैं, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट हो सकता है, पॉवर्टी हो सकता है, जिसकी वजह से डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस हो रहा है, बिकॉज somebody is not able to get an employment, somebody may be anxious, largely the male counterpart in the relationship is not able to find the ways of earning, the kind of patriarchal society we have, the male ego is hurt, and because of that there may be domestic violence। क्यों? अब डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस क्यों हुआ? आप देखो यहाँ पे थ्योरी का एप्लीकेशन देखो क्या होता है। हम देखते हैं ना कि स्केप गोटिंग होती है, स्केप गोट, बकरे को पीटो। सो बकरे को पीटो अप्रोच इज डन व्हाई? स्केप गोटिंग होती है, स्केप गोटिंग इज एवरीवेयर, बकरे को पीटो। इफ यू आर अ बकरा, एवरीबॉडी विल बीट यू। सो if you are ready to accept the norms set by other people, if you have low self esteem, then people are ready to release enormous violence on you, they are ready to degrade you। अभी एक एक्सपेरिमेंट हम देखेंगे बाद में, अभी इसके बाद में मैं बताऊंगा, उसमें भी ऐसा ही है। तो ये स्केप गोटिंग में क्या हो रही है, अभी देखो इसको हम जोड़ेंगे किससे? एग्रेशन, फ्रस्ट्रेशन। बिकॉज ऑफ द फ्रस्ट्रेशन पीपल फील एग्रेसिव। फ्रस्ट्रेशन क्यों हुआ? अब लाइव एग्जांपल, अनएम्प्लॉयड पर्सन रोमिंग अराउंड हेयर एंड देयर, मेट्रो में धक्के खा रहे, बस में धक्के खा रहे, यहाँ वहाँ, कहीं भी इज्जत नहीं मिल रही, सेल्फ एस्टीम गोइंग डाउन, सो मच ऑफ स्ट्रेस एंड फ्रस्ट्रेशन इनसाइड। नाउ हाउ टू रिलीज दैट? देयर आर टू वेज, वन इज द रिलीजिंग ऑफ कैथारसिस, जो भी कैथारसिस जमा है, स्पोर्ट्स एक्टिविटी, सम क्रिएटिव एक्टिविटी, उसमें कर सकते हैं, बट दे चूज द अदर वे। इस पूरे कैथारसिस को रिलीज करना है, किसको रिलीज करना है? कैथारसिस, कैथारसिस। और ये हर जगह लागू होता है, कैथारसिस, कैथारसिस, पेंट अप इमोशंस, पेंट अप नेगेटिव इमोशंस। पेंट अप नेगेटिव इमोशंस कहां पर रिलीज कर रहे हैं, किस पे रिलीज करेंगे? जो दुर्बल है, वीक पर्सन, स्केप गोटिंग। You found somebody who is weaker than you and you released the violence on the person, and it may happen to any gender. Recently only a famous cricketer who was able to get divorced from his wife. The wife was releasing violence on the person. So it's quite possible husband releasing violence on wife, or wife releasing violence on husband, any way it is possible। okay, तो अब देखो क्या हुआ यहाँ पे, स्केप गोटिंग हुई, स्केप कोटिंग की वजह से तो होता है। इकोनॉमिक रीजन, देयर में बी सोशल रीजन, कल्चरल रीजन। सोशल, कल्चरल भी हो सकता है। इन सम प्लेसेस इट इज नेसेसरी टू बीट वाइफ, अदरवाइज यू विल नॉट बी कॉल्ड अ मैन। वो उनके ताऊ कह रहे हैं यार पीटना तो जरूरी है, अब ताऊ को खुश करना है तो यू विल बी डू द पीट ऑफ फाइव थिंग। तो कल्चरल रीजन भी हो सकता है भाई साहब, कुछ भी हो सकता है। सो दीज फैक्टर्स, इसको हम क्या बोलेंगे, दीज कैटेगरीज, दीज आर कॉल्ड कैटेगरीज। फ्रॉम डेटा कैटेगरीज आर कलेक्टेड। डेटा हुआ क्वेश्चंस, डेटा क्या है, क्वेश्चंस थ्रू विच कैटेगराइजेशन डन सेवरल कैटेगरीज, categories collected. Now these categories are in form of maybe economic, cultural, social, ये सारे कैटेगरीज आ गए। अब ये कैटेगरीज भी आपस में इंटरेक्ट करते होंगे, दे डू इंटरेक्ट विथ ईच अदर। इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर विथ कल्चरल फैक्टर, कल्चर ऑफ डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस along with the economic factor. दिस इंटरेक्शन इज सीन इन सेकेंड स्टेप। हमने पहले किया था ओपन कोडिंग, हमने डेटा इकट्ठा कर लिया, कैटेगराइजेशन कर दिया ओपन कोडिंग में। उसके बाद में हमने किया एक्सीएल कोडिंग। एक्सीएल कोडिंग में क्या किया हमने, जो कैटेगरीज है उसके बीच में क्या इंटर रिलेशनशिप है, इंटर रिलेशनशिप एंड इंटरैक्शन, इंटरैक्शन among various categories that was seen। यहां से हमें क्या मिला था, ओपन कोडिंग से यहां से मिले थे हमें कैटेगरीज। ओपन कोडिंग से कैटेगरीज मिले थे, उनके इंटरेक्शन हमने एक्सेल कोडिंग में देखे, इंटरेक्शन मिल गया। अब इंटरेक्शन हमें मिल गया, उनके इंटरेक्शन को वे इन करेंगे। और पहले जो कैटेगरीज पहले हमें मिला, देखो ओपन में हमें मिला है कैटेगरीज, एक्सेल में मिले हमें इंटरेक्शन। ये भी इन सबको दोनों को एनालाइज किया जाएगा। एंड रिमेंबर दीज स्टेप्स आर नॉट एक्सक्लूसिव, म्यूचुअली एक्सक्लूसिव नहीं है, साइमल्टेनियसली हो रहे हैं और दोनों एक दूसरे के साथ हो रहे हैं, लूप में भी हो रहे हैं, टेकिंग प्लेस साइमल्टेनियसली एज वेल एज कॉन्करेंटली एज वेल एज ऑन द लूप। क्योंकि रिसर्च आर नॉट सो सिंपल, अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी आर नॉट डूइंग एनफ रिसर्च, रिसर्च इज बीइंग डन बाय डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, दैट इज व्हाई दे आर डेवलप्ड। तो आगे बढ़ते हैं, ओपन कोड शीट एक्सीएल हो गया। अब क्या करेंगे, सेलेक्टिव कोडिंग। अब सेलेक्टिव कोडिंग में क्या होती है, ये जो कैटेगरीज है ना, ये जो कैटेगरीज हमें मिले थे, इन कैटेगरीज में से आफ्टर सीइंग द इंटरेक्शन बिटवीन डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज, few categories will be selected, few prominent categories will be selected, prominent categories, maybe this may be economic हो सकता है, फिर हम देखेंगे यार सोशल फैक्टर या सोशियो कल्चरल फैक्टर, हमने कह दिया सोशियो कल्चरल फैक्टर। तो इनको हम फाइनलाइज कर लेंगे एंड देन विल हैव एन हाइपोथेसिस, नॉट थ्योरी, बिकॉज दिस जस्ट ए केस, just hypothesis that domestic violence is happening because of the factors, domestic violence is the function of economic factors and socio-cultural factors। हो गया हमारे, दिस इज ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी अप्रोच। ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी जैसे अप्रोचेस क्यों आए, क्योंकि अब हम आ गए लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म के साइड में। Because of logical positivism, these theories emerged। और साइकोलॉजी को भी साइंस कहलाने का मौका मिला। नाउ साइकोलॉजी इज ऑल्सो साइंस, बिकॉज साइकोलॉजी कैन नॉट यूज प्योरली इंडक्टिव अप्रोच। साइकोलॉजी प्योरली इंडक्टिव अप्रोच तो नहीं कर सकता। साइकोलॉजी विल हैव टू गो बाई द फंक्शन ऑफ लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म। So psychology along with many other disciplines started being called science now। psychology को भी science कहलाने का मौका मिला, क्योंकि definitions रिलैक्स्ड हो गए फॉर एनी डिसिप्लिन टू बी कॉल्ड साइंस। ठीक है, अब फर्दर मूविंग इन दिस पर्सपेक्टिव ओनली, साइंटिफिक स्टडी जो हम कह रहे हैं कि साइकोलॉजी इज द साइंटिफिक स्टडी ऑफ ह्यूमन बिहेवियर एंड कॉग्निटिव प्रोसेस, तो ये साइंटिफिक स्टडी वाले पर्सपेक्टिव में ही आगे बढ़ते हुए हम देखते हैं दैट फॉर साइकोलॉजी टू बी कॉल्ड साइंस और साइकोलॉजी, the study of psychology being called a scientific study, it had to go through certain parameters. तो पैरामीटर्स हम देखेंगे। पहले हम देखते हैं कि क्या ग्राउंड्स हैं फॉर एनी डिसिप्लिन टू बी कॉल्ड साइंटिफिक। तो पहले तो हम देखते हैं साइंस मतलब कोई भी डिसिप्लिन है उसका क्या देखते हैं हम, ऑन्टोलॉजी देखते हैं, एपिस्टेमोलॉजी देखते हैं और मेथोडोलॉजी देखते हैं। ontology, epistemology and methodology. O for ontology, E for epistemology and M for methodology. And please remember again and again I am reiterating this fact, आपको यहाँ पर समझना है, you have to understand, you don't need to worry about the notes, notes मिल जाएंगे, ये सारा मिल जाएगा आपको script, the recorded version will also be there, so please focus on understanding things, I keep on telling you, अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो जाएगी, कहीं पे नहीं लिखना है, एग्जाम में लिख के आओगे ऑन्टोलॉजी, एपिस्टेमोलॉजी, मेथोडोलॉजी, कोई जरूरत नहीं है लिखने की। आई विल गिव यू 4 क्राइटेरिया लेटर ऑन, उससे हो जाएगा आपका सारा, बट लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड, अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए, और ये भी अंडरस्टैंड करके भूल जाओ, जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड एंड फॉरगेट इट। तो ऑन्टोलॉजी क्या कहता है, ऑन्टोलॉजी, ऑन्टोलॉजी कहता है व्हाट इज द सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ योर स्टडी। ऑन्टोलॉजी बोलता है व्हाट इज द, व्हाट क्वेश्चन यू आर एक्चुअली रनिंग आफ्टर, व्हाट इज द टॉपिक ऑफ योर स्टडी, व्हाट इज द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ योर स्टडी। सो व्हाट आर वी रनिंग आफ्टर हियर, साइकोलॉजी में किसके पीछे भाग रहे हैं, human behavior largely, generally, और mental processes also, ये हमारा है ना क्वेश्चन, we are running after human behavior, fine। अब देखते हैं ह्यूमन बिहेवियर की खासियत क्या क्या है। Can you define any behavior completely, exhaustively? Take any example, intelligence ले लेते हैं, we are suppose our subject matter of study is intelligence, या ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग बनाने के लिए पर्सनालिटी ले लेते हैं। Can we define personality in a set of, with a set of fixed parameters कि हाँ ये सारे हम देख लेंगे तो पर्सनालिटी हमें समझ में आ जाएगी। There have been approaches which have tried to list down, zoom down to few factors like big five है ना अपना, बिग 5 फैक्टर, क्या बिग 5 है, O C E A N, O से ओपननेस, ओपननेस टू व्हाट, ओपननेस टू एक्सपीरियंसेस इन लाइफ, डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंसेस के लिए ओपन रहना, रिजिड नहीं, यू डोंट नीड टू बी रिजिड। व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम विद मोस्ट ऑफ द सोसाइटीज, लो SES, लो सोशियो इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस वाले, या फिर जो पीपल आर सफरिंग फ्रॉम एंग्जाइटी एंड डिप्रेशन, दे आर नॉट ओपन टू एक्सपीरियंसेस, दे आर बाउंड बाई, अब उनका मंडे टू फ्राइडे जॉब, सैटरडे नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल, संडे आराम करने का, और they have that rigidity. They are not bothered about, or they are not adept enough to sense that there can be a different situation. सैटरडे को नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल की जगह हो सकता है कि फैमिली में और नेबरहुड में और कहीं और, या फिर आपका खुद की तबीयत खराब हो जाए. यू मे नॉट बी फीलिंग वेल, सो इन दैट, और you may be thinking of, okay, rather than just Netflix and chill, just get up in the morning, see the sunrise and go for a stroll, go for hiking, go for biking, go for cycle race. ये कर सकते थे ना. तो openness to experience is not there, and that is the problem with many people. Then this is simply lacking with conscientiousness. Conscience. Are you disciplined or not? Are you showing stable ways of behaving? Do you have an inner compass which defines your behavior? That is conscientiousness. Conscientiousness. Then comes your extraversion. What is extraversion? As we say, which is एक्सट्रोवर्ट बोलते हैं ना. वी जनरली, तब देखो फोक विजडम कैसे नहीं है साइंस. हम बोलते हैं ना फलाना आदमी जो है ना, दिस पर्सन इज एक्सट्रोवर्ट. वी डोंट डिफाइन एक्सट्रोवर्जन इन द राइट मैनर. हियर दैट एक्सट्रावर्जन और एक्सट्रोवर्जन इज डिफाइंड in the way you feel comfortable around people and you are ready to share your life experiences with others, and you don't hide most of the things but reveal things to people. ये एक्स्ट्रावर्जन है. बट देयर माइट बी पीपल हु आर एम्बीवर्ट. अब होता है ना कि देखो साइंस, हाउ साइकोलॉजी इज साइंस एंड हाउ फोक विजडम कैन नॉट डिफाइन साइकोलॉजी. अभी इसका एग्जांपल मिल जाएगा. ये हो गया एक हमारा इंट्रोवर्ट आदमी. इन मोस्ट ऑफ द प्लेसेस दिस पर्सन इज नॉट लाइकिंग सोशलाइजेशन. This is extrovert. Now you cannot do a straight jacket division between these two. There are people, most of us are ambivert. Depending upon the situation we show our extroversion or introvert personality. अब किस तरह का crowd है, if crowd is of our liking we will become extrovert. If we don't like, with your family members only, you see there are certain family members you don't like, there you will become introvert. हाँ बेटा कैसे हो. If you like somebody, he or she, person of your choice, ask you कैसे हो, हाँ हाँ अच्छे हैं, यहाँ गए थे वहाँ गए थे, कितना ये आइसक्रीम खाया, ये खाया, टू गुड, पूरी कहानी बता दोगे. The person is not asking you in details but still you are saying everything, सब बता दिया. Extrovert. Ambivert personality most of us are. There cannot be straight jacket division. फोक विजडम कैसे डिफाइन करता है? जो आदमी बहुत ज्यादा बोल रहा है एक्सट्रोवर्ट, जो आदमी कम बोल रहा है इंट्रोवर्ट. नो, दैट्स नॉट ट्रू. देयर कैन नॉट बी ए यूनिवर्सल डेफिनेशन लाइक दिस. These are defined according to certain parameters. Situation to situation it changes. Individual differences also are there. And layers of personality are so deep. Abhi, see, projective test. Why projective test is done? Because there are layers of personality which we are not able to reveal. There are people who are psychopath, sociopath, quite charming. When you meet them, you will realize, oh, this is the person who is so good. But these people are having that criminal bent of mind. तो आपने तो इनका conscious देखा ना, conscious रूप देखा, which is the tip of the iceberg. The whole dimension of personality is hidden here. Subconscious, subcon or uncon. It's completely hidden. We don't know. So, extraversion, sociable people. Then comes your agreeableness, which is quite closer to that. agreeableness, that they gel well with people and they can work in a team. They are not rigid about their beliefs. Then comes your neuroticism. Neuroticism, anxiety. Neurotic people, they show anxiety generally in social settings. In social settings, they are neurotic. They are anxious, laden with anxiety, neurotic. This should be low. All these factors should be high. Generally speaking, neuroticity should be low for a perfect personality. But is this list exhaustive? Can we define the dimensions of personality based on these 5 factors only? No. These big 5 factors, apart from this big 5 factor, there came another factor theory, 16 PF, 16 personality factor theory is given by whom? Cattell. If the 5 factors were enough to define the personality, why this 16 personality factor came? 16 personality factor came because that 5 factor, even these 16 factors are not enough to define the personality. तो हमारा जो मैटर है ना, सब्जेक्ट मैटर है ऑफ स्टडी, वेदर इट इज पर्सनालिटी और इंटेलिजेंस. इंटेलिजेंस में देखो, जी थ्योरीज, एस थ्योरीज, देयर आर univariate theory, univariate, that G theories, generic intelligence, general intelligence from which specific intelligence develops, fluid intelligence. ये किसने दिया? स्पेयरमैन ने दिया. थोड़ा थोड़ा याद करते चलेंगे so that we have an understanding of psychology and we'll build it further. Univariate, then came multivariate theories. Sternberg and all, Vernon, Guilford, yeah, Sternberg, Vernon, Guilford. Then came your multiple intelligence theory. Given by Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner. The most recent of theories is this, Howard Gardner's theory. So there is no common agreement for measurement of or study of these constructs. Common agreement है ही नहीं. We don't have a common agreement. What we are studying, is it defined completely? Is the list exhaustive? The answer is no. और हम क्या अभी ontology देख रहे थे कि what is to be examined, what is our subject matter. तो subject matter जो है उसकी definition ही complete नहीं है. Not complete definition, incomplete definition. Incomplete definition है. Then as we saw in your ambivert example, there is a continuum. अब ये क्या है? ये extrovert हो गया, ये introvert हो गया. So people are found in this continuum. Some people are found here, some here, some here, some here. Different types of people. We cannot define any person because from situation to situation, person's behavior may also change. Two people cannot be defined based on same criteria because of individual differences. One is your individual differences, then your situational. So there cannot be concrete definition of any construct which we are studying. It varies from individual to individual, from situation to situation, and that too is not complete, incomplete and fluid, no concreteness, fluid definition of our subject matter. Subject matter cannot be defined completely. Like in physics, we are saying that we are studying gravitation. So gravitation is defined or not? Gravitation can be defined, that this is the gravitation. Then you see, apart from this, as we have seen, not everything can be overtly observed. The way you are thinking, your thinking process cannot be overtly observed. And your thinking, अब suppose for example, thinking process तो हम नहीं कर सकते, overtly observe नहीं कर सकते. So ये इनकम्प्लीट डेफिनेशन, फ्लूइड डेफिनेशन के साथ साथ और क्या जुड़ गया हमारा? द सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ स्टडी, जो हमारा बिहेवियर है, कैन नॉट बी ओवर्टली ऑब्जर्व्ड. Overt observation of subject matter cannot be done. अब देखो एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं. एटीट्यूड मेजर करना है. हाउ योर एटीट्यूड इज मेजर्ड? कैन वी मेजर योर एटीट्यूड? देयर आर स्केल्स. देयर आर 2 स्केल्स. हम कहते हैं लाइकर्ट और थर्स्टोन. ये 2 स्केल्स होते हैं, लाइकर्ट स्केल, थर्स्टन स्केल. थ्रू दिस व्हाट यू आर मेजरिंग एक्चुअली इज, इसमें क्या बोलते हैं कि आपको एक चॉइस दिया गया. डू यू लाइक क्राउडेड रूम्स? देन देयर इज अ कॉन्टिन्यूम. आइदर यू विल बी आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन यस और नो, या फिर एक होगा मोस्ट लाइकली, एक कॉन्टिन्यूम है, वेरी लाइकली, टू नॉट एट ऑल. Here, through these questions, you are not directly measuring the attitude. You are making a guess of the attitude by these answers, depending upon the continuum where it falls. And for different questions, do you like Chinese people? Do you like Japanese food? Likewise, you will be asked questions, and based on that, your attitude will be guessed, cannot be measured in an objective manner. तो हमारा मेजरमेंट क्या हो गया यहाँ पे? इनडायरेक्टली तो ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं हम एटीट्यूड को. एटीट्यूड इज बीइंग ऑब्जर्व्ड इनडायरेक्टली, इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जर्वेशन कर पा रहे हैं. और हमारा जो सब्जेक्ट मैटर है, इज इट एथिकल इन ए सोशल सेटिंग, और इज इट ethical according to any discipline to study each and everything of the subject matter, human behavior? There are certain behavior displayed by human beings which cannot be studied in a social setting. There will be invasion of privacy. For example, अभी देखो आया भी था, अभी क्वेश्चन भी आया था, इंटरनेट एडिक्शन ऑफ IT and mass media. There likewise there can be, like nowadays it's happening among youngsters and other people. There may be a question very soon पॉर्न एडिक्शन, अब ये इसको हम हाउ कैन वी स्टडी दिस, how can we study this on a moral ethical grounds in a social setting? What is the reaction of people to this? Can we show this in a social setting to people and then see their brainwave pattern? Will it be an ethical approach to study the addiction? No. So we'll have to find a different way, and not everything can be studied. So because of indirectness, incompleteness and ethical concerns, what can we say? That psychology is not a pure science, because in science what happens? Direct measurement. Definition is there, complete definition of what we are studying. Gravitation completely defined, objectively defined. G is equal to G mm upon r square. This is a formula universally applicable. Then there are ethical concerns which are very less. You cannot subject even animals as Pavlov did in those heydays. Now, if you are testing animal, then you will be PETA people will be on your door. You may be subject to CRPC and IPC. Even Menka Gandhi can come to your place. What are you doing? She is also a very big time animal lover, fighting for animal concerns. So, you see, to study human behavior is difficult, incomplete, indirect, ethically impossible. That is why, based on the definition of ontology, that is the subject matter of our study, we can say that we are far away from the natural science. अब ये सारे स्कीमा आपके अंदर घूमते रहेंगे, यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. अब आते हैं आगे, एपिस्टेमोलॉजी. एक तो हमने ऑन्टोलॉजी बोला था, दूसरा OEM था, OEM. This is ontology which we have defined. Then it will come epistemology. What is this epistemology? Epistemology says validity, the truthfulness of the subject. अब वैलिडिटी कैसे डिफाइन होगी, ट्रूथफुलनेस कैसे डिफाइन होगा? When the appeal is universal, it will be valid, truthful. There is a formula for gravitation, G mm r square, that is applicable everywhere. But is there validity of psychological principles, universal applicability? The answer is no. You see this example we have seen, mere exposure effect का example देखा था हमने. Mere exposure effect example we have seen. In that, what was happening? Give me a minute. What happened in mere exposure effect? The mere exposure effect was not applicable in every situation. Why? Because of the individual differences. Not two people behave in the same manner. Right or not? So, the epistemology says, epistemology, that is the validity of the discipline's principles. The discipline's principles are not universally applicable. That is why psychology is much away from science. From natural science rather. as mere exposure effect is not applicable everywhere. Universal theories are very less, although they are there, but they are very less. OE हमने डिफाइन कर दिया, ontology, epistemology, इन दोनों से क्या प्रूव हुआ? That we are not science for sure, as natural sciences are there, but neither are we abstract. वो भी हम आगे प्रूव करेंगे. Ontology, epistemology से ये प्रूव हुआ. Indirectness, incompleteness, ethical standards, universal principles are not there, universally applicable principles are not there. ये भी आया ना. अब आगे आते हैं methodology. तो methodology, M से methodology. What is our methodology? डेटा कलेक्शन मेथड्स हमारे क्या क्या है, पहले वो देख लेते हैं. देखो हम क्या करते हैं साइकोलॉजी में, स्पेशली क्वेश्चन, केस स्टडी, इंटरव्यू एंड देन क्वेश्चनर. Observation, case study, interview, questionnaire. These are data collection methods. ये आपको याद रखने हैं. Data collection method, observation, case study, interview, questionnaire. Observation, we observe some activity going on. The sports, cricket. In cricket, what temperament is being shown by an athlete? Can we observe that? अब देखो यहाँ से स्पोर्ट्स साइकोलॉजी में एप्लीकेशन आ जाएगा, और यहीं से आता है. ये सब सारी चीज़ें ना बड़ी आसान है. आई डोंट नो व्हाई इट हैज़ बीन मेड लाइक अ रॉकेट साइंस. इट्स वेरी इजी, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली जस्ट टू एंश्योर दैट इन द मार्केट देयर इज सम हवा, दे आर मेड डिफिकल्ट. ऑब्जर्वेशन क्या कर रहे हैं? ऑब्जर्वेशन, राहुल द्रविड़ इज प्लेइंग. राहुल इज प्लेइंग. हु राहुल? राहुल द्रविड़. एंड on the other hand, another player is playing, युवराज सिंह. हम देखेंगे राहुल द्रविड़ और युवराज सिंह दोनों के बिहेवियर में क्या डिफरेंस है. अंडर व्हाट? ऑब्जर्वेशन. यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग इट, एज सिंपल एज दैट. वी सी दैट राहुल द्रविड़ रिमेन्स क्वाइट स्टेबल इन हिज बिहेवियर ऑन द ग्राउंड. युवराज सिंह shows a lots of aggressiveness, and there is this kind of change in his motivational pattern. So what we will do to get the best out of these sports person, we will say to Rahul Dravid, उनको करेंगे हम क्या? साइकिंग अप. We'll do it in sports psychology also, but इधर भी समझते हैं. साइकिंग अप में क्या है? पेप टॉक to improve the motivation of the player so that he or she can perform well on the ground. कैसे perform करेगा ये? Use the energy of the crowd. crowd की एनर्जी को यूज करो. That is, crowd में cheer you up, उसको भी यूज करना है. crowd में डू द स्लेजिंग. होता है ना कभी क्राउड, जो फील्डर होते हैं, फील्डर्स ऑन द बाउंड्रीज, दे आर फील्डिंग एंड पीपल फ्रॉम अराउंड दे आर अब्यूजिंग दिस दैट सो मेनी थिंग्स. उसको यूज करो. इफ दे आर अब्यूजिंग यू, रिमेन काम. इफ दे आर चीयरिंग यू अप, इवन देन रिमेन काम. बट दैट कामनेस इज मोर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर होम? युवराज सिंह. फॉर राहुल द्रविड़, ही नीड्स टू बी टोल्ड, व्हाट आर यू डूइंग बडी, यू आर प्लेइंग क्रिकेट, थोड़ा सा अपना एंथुसियाज्म बढ़ाओ. साइकिंग अप. युवराज सिंह के लिए क्या करेंगे हम? साइकिंग डाउन. सो विल बी एबल टू यूटिलाइज द एनर्जी ऑफ द स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन. और इस टेक्निक को क्या बोलते हैं? व्हाट डू वी से? व्हाट डू वी कॉल दिस? दिस इज मेंटल प्लस मसल. mental plus muscle approach, because their mental makeup along with their physiological makeup. These two are being combined to get the best out of them. To get the best out of them. So, before moving forward, let's see some of you. Okay, Aditya, you're saying mental health policy. Yes, mental health policy is also. Voice is not clear. Are you getting my voice now? Say yes or no. Vishu is saying that voice is not clear. Now, are you getting the voice? Can you check it here? Are you getting my voice now?
Let me check it. Let me do something, okay? Let me change the charger. Say something?
Are you getting my voice clearly now?
Yes, now it's clear. Vishu is saying it's clear now.
Just a minute. So, is it clear now? Can you confirm? Is it clear now? So, in the methodology, we were doing this. So, in methodology, the thing which we studied is the application in the sports psychology. We are just checking it, the voice problem. It needs to be corrected. Then we'll move forward. Is it clear now? Now, is it clear now?
Say something, please.
Is it clear now? Okay, so the thing is that there is some technical error. We had to cover a few more aspects, but it's been built in the right manner. We'll end the class here only and we'll continue from here and develop our class further. Next time what we'll do, we will meet on Monday, right? On Monday we have the class. The class will start at 6:30 p.m. Few things also could have been covered because of some technical issue. If the voice has been lost at some places and if you feel that you are not able to hear me properly on those points, you let me know through WhatsApp or mail. I will repeat the same things in my next class. So, because of some technical error, we'll end up here only, but next class onwards it will be super fine. So, wishing you a good night. Read everything well. It will be provided to you in a recorded version on a thread. This one class primarily I am making it open for public because many of them were saying that they also want to join it because of the approach which is happening in the market is not good. So it will be made open for all, they can go through it, but later, next time onwards, the classes will be private only and sent to only those who have subscribed to it. Alright, thank you very much for joining. We'll continue in the same tempo next time onward. Thank you very much.